Joining us via video Skype for prisonplanet.tv viewers. Obviously, for radio listeners, you're tuning in, but if you're a radio listener and would like to be able to watch, become a prisonplanet.tv member and then also supports the broadcast. Paul Watson reporting to us from England. You've been tracking this. Look, yesterday, even though the media was announcing that Tripoli had totally fallen, all his sons were captured, Gaddafi would be captured within hours, even though they were saying it was 100%, I said it may not be the truth. Because 8 separate times they've claimed to have killed him or captured him or that he's fled the country. And again, I'm no fan of Gaddafi, but compared to Al-Qaeda, you've got to sit here and watch these people being slaughtered and killed and watch the bankers using Al-Qaeda. It's just absolutely disgusting. And at a certain level, you've got to see Gaddafi as the underdog and realize how he's held on to power for 40 years. He could have hightailed it to South Africa or scores of other countries that would have had him, but he didn't. He has chosen to stay behind with his sons and his entire family and undoubtedly die. I will say at this point, nothing is going to stop NATO. They will send in U.S. troops. They will send in the 1st Cav. They will send in 3 Corps. They will level every building, kill every man, woman, and child, and rub the blood all over their faces with Al-Qaeda in a celebration of death. They will be praised as our Al-Qaeda saviors. This is incredible, Paul.
Well, the latest, Alex, is that this assault on the Gaddafi compound is being directed by non-rebels. Basically, a non-rebel force is now directing the rebels with this assault on his compound. Now they're saying, according to Reuters, that Gaddafi may have escaped via underground tunnels. So again, yesterday they said he'd left Tripoli. Then Gaddafi told one of the big chess champions who gave an interview that he was still in Tripoli. So there's an element of Baghdad Bob on both sides of the equation. But what we know for sure is that this assault is being directed by primarily British intelligence. We had the article earlier today, MI6 directed rebel terrorists in Tripoli siege. And basically this was in the pipeline 10 weeks ago. You had the massive RAF fighter jet strafing Tripoli over the weekend, and then MI6 and NATO shipped in their Al-Qaeda terrorists, and the bloodbath began. But now it's admitted, the London Telegraph report, that MI6 is directing this entire operation. Debka File, literally half an hour ago, is reporting that this attack on Gaddafi's compound is being led by British, French, Jordanian and Qatari special forces. Now, Debka File were the ones who reported back in early July that NATO wanted Gaddafi toppled by the start of September. So they've been accurate in the past. And then you have other reports that the rebels are being directed by a, quote, non-rebel presence. So while we have the establishment media, again, engaging in this mass hoax that this is some organic uprising, it's all being led by globalist forces. They want the oil, they want the gold, they want Libya as a springboard to attack other countries. And as we predicted at the beginning of July, the window is now. They need to get it done before that Palestinian
That's right. Libya has got great air bases to menace Egypt. That's another big part of this. Plus, Libya was financing the development of Africa and had the highest standard of living in Africa now, eclipsing South Africa. That could not be allowed, just like Serbia. Nothing like a good DU bombing to triple birth defects, slaughter some people. And will Obama get a second peace prize? I'm not joking. Mainstream media just a few weeks ago said he should be given a second peace prize, Paul. Perhaps we should give Hitler one posthumously.
Well, I mean, precisely, and it's going to go beyond just, supporting these rebels by the looks of it, because once it collapses into anarchy and tribal warfare, which is what everybody expects it to do, especially with these 10 to 15,000 United Arab Emirates troops that they're planning on sending in after, the British government today admitted that they have troops on standby for basically an occupation. They're not going to call it an occupation. They're going to call it a peacekeeping force.
Well, they've got 12,000. Exactly, a peacekeeping, kinetic, loving action. They've got at least 12,000 U.S. Marines off the coast. Right now, they've got British troops off the coast. I'm sure they're just there to sightsee, though, Paul.
Well, precisely, even though the original EU intervention plan said that, you know, their mission was to, quote, secure sea and land corridors inside the country. That doesn't sound like a humanitarian objective to me. It sounds like a military objective.
What, are you going to tell me that we've been lied to, that the 4.5-month bombing campaign is not humanitarian, that Obama said weeks, I mean days, not weeks? Clearly he's been truthful there. I mean, next year, are you against Al-Qaeda? Because they admit the main force is Al-Qaeda and brags of killing U.S. troops. I mean, what's wrong with you, Paul? I mean, what's wrong with Al-Qaeda?
Well, I mean, certainly nothing if you're MI6. I mean, the same group, the Libyan Al-Qaeda cell, the MI6 paid $100,000 in 1996 to assassinate Gaddafi, after Gaddafi himself had put out an Interpol arrest warrant against bin Laden. Oh, we can't allow that. So they paid this Islamic fighting group, which is going to become one of the main power players in the post-Gaddafi regime, $100,000 to assassinate Gaddafi. That's MI6. So, I mean, the fact that we've got troops in Afghanistan and Iraq fighting this multi-generational war on terror while simultaneously training, arming and funding this Al-Qaeda group that admittedly has killed US troops to take power in Libya post-Gaddafi just illustrates how the whole war on terror is a monumental fraud.
Well, once the Al-Qaeda forces, and they admit that's the dominant group in the new government, have that country, they're undoubtedly going to use it as a base, just like after Afghanistan was turned over to Al-Qaeda. They were then used to be the scapegoats for 9/11 as a new pretext, and they just move Al-Qaeda around anywhere they want to invade. They either have Al-Qaeda attack you, and then the West comes into their aid, Serbia, now Libya, Afghanistan, or they claim Al-Qaeda has carried out attacks that they didn't really carry out as a pretext to have the security services set up a police state domestically. This is incredibly transparent, but the fact that British special forces and others are running the attack in Tripoli is true evidence of how we've been lied to all along here, and the fact that his son, Saif al-Islam, has been proven to be alive and not captured really illustrates that this is a fluid situation. Thank you so much, Paul Joseph Watson from PrisonPlanet.com.
Thanks, Alex.
Visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.